Hey everybody, welcome to FixerForge. Today we're going to be setting up a Kali Linux user environment in the encrypted persistent USB drive we set up in the last video. So our first step is going to be to plug in our USB drive. Now, it's going to pop up with a format window. You don't want to do that. For example, right there. Go ahead and hit cancel. You don't want to format the drive because that'll erase your bootable drive. You instead want to go into your storage drive, and I've set up a set of instructions for this project. And I'm going to go ahead and move them over. I'm going to link these in the description below, that way you can follow along. There is one or two errors in them. I will fix that in the one I link below. So this project is going to take quite some time to complete. You're going to want to set aside a Saturday or a Sunday or something like that to go ahead and do this, because it's going to take, one particular step is going to take 8 hours, and it was terrible to film, but it's a rather involved project. Now, you can set it up and come back and check on it every hour or so, because it'll ask you what to do with particular settings. But beyond that, you can pretty much just set it and forget it. Just don't set it before you leave for work. So now we're going to go ahead and reboot into our bootable drive. And we're going to boot into our boot menu. Now, this is our BIOS password. Now, if you don't know why this is set up and why you should set this up, I did a video about it. I'll go ahead and link that in the description below. This is to keep other people from hijacking your computer. Go ahead and enter the password we set up in that video, and that will bring you to your boot order menu, or boot selection menu. Go ahead and select the flash drive you plugged in. That will take you into your Kali Live menu. Go ahead and select Encrypted Persistence. And it will start booting into the settings. And you're going to go ahead and set up the encrypted password we set up in our last video. Now, the advantage of this is that if somebody wants to break into your Kali box, they have to get past this password first before they get into your user password. And the nice thing about that is, this is a lot harder to brute force than your user password. Now, I tried doing this at the beginning of this, but the footage turned out terrible, so I'm actually doing this afterwards. So this is going to boot into my user login screen. Yours will boot directly into your root user. Don't worry, that's normal. It's also probably going to take longer. Alright, so first thing we're going to want to do is go into our settings. And we're going to go ahead and change our screen settings so that it will not sleep on idle. Because if it sleeps on idle while it's trying to update, it will halt the update and you'll have to start over. So go ahead and turn off the dim screen while inactive setting. And go ahead and set up the automatic suspend on plugged in to never. You can do on battery power, but you really should do this with your computer plugged in, simply because it's going to take so long. There we go. Now you're going to be able to set this, walk away, do something else, and check it once every hour once we get to the part that's going to take 8 hours. So now we're going to go into our storage, And we're going to take those instructions we set up and we're going to set up our workspace. Open up the terminal. First command is going to disable the automatic root login, which wasn't really demonstrated in this video, but it will work straight out of the box. It comes set that way. And it's a huge security flaw, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of it. Just go ahead and put hashtags in front of all of those lines, and that will get rid of the root auto login. Next, we're going to remove the root login or root password reversion setting. It comes default with this line of code right here, which will automatically change your root password back to the default, which is Tor. So every time you reboot your computer, you may have changed your root password, but when you turn it back on, it will be Tor again, which is another big security flaw. So now we're going to reset our root password. You can go ahead and type in whatever password you want. And type it in twice. And then you're going to set up your user. Now my user is obviously going to be Fixer. You can put whatever name you want. That's the only thing you need to change is that set of code right there, which is the name of your user. Now we're setting up a password for that user. Now if you end up skipping this step, you will not be able to log in because it will default ask you for a password and it will not accept a blank space. Now these next two lines are going to add your user to the super user group, meaning you can run root utilities and root commands on this particular user, which is way more convenient than having to log in, log back out, log back in again between your regular user and the root user. Now, I've gone ahead and blanked out my Wi-Fi networks, and it's not that I don't trust you guys, but I don't trust you guys. But at this point, you're going to want to go ahead and connect to your Wi-Fi. Now, this next command is going to take us to our sources.list, which is where Kali Linux gets its update information from. Unfortunately, it comes with the sources.list incorrect. It actually takes two sections of the code and swaps it out. So just go ahead and copy that, paste it in there, and save. Now we're going to change our SSH keys. Now, Kali Linux comes with a default SSH key installed, which is the same for every single distribution. So it's an enormous security flaw. This essentially disables that. Now this next command doesn't work. I didn't realize that when I actually, shot this video. I will go ahead and show you the correct way how to do this, but unfortunately it's not going to make its way into this video. But you can essentially set up an alias, so instead of typing a long command like sudo apt get update, sudo apt get upgrade, you can essentially just type in do the thing, and it will run those commands. Makes things way easier. This is the command that is going to take 8 hours, and it's gonna suck, so just a heads up. We're gonna go ahead and cut away, and we'll come back when we're done.
Day 2. Day 3. Day 4.
Wow, that took forever. See right there where it says this may take some time? That was an understatement, and they should have told you that at the beginning. No joke, this genuinely took me 8 hours to do. So next, we're going to get our device not managed, or we're going to fix the device not managed error. And we're going to go ahead and change the false in this particular file to true, and save the file. Now you're going to want to go ahead and reboot into your user. Go ahead and power off, and then log back into the user you created. Alright, now that we're booted into our user, we're going to go back in and reset up our workspace. So we're going to go ahead and open up our terminal, and then we're going to put in sudo apt-get install figlet. Now figlet is a fun little utility that will take whatever you type in and it will draw it in ASCII. We're going to do some fun little customization stuff with it. Whenever it's done installing. One of the big themes of this is that it's going to be the first time you're running most of this stuff, so it's going to take a little while for it to start the utilities for the first time. But when you run it later, it's going to be a little bit faster. So now we're going to test Figlet. You're going to type Figlet and whatever you want to type, and it draws it out in ASCII. So next, we're going to customize our terminal welcome screen. We're going to go ahead and paste in that line of code, and we're going to edit our bash.bashrc file, which is basically all of our settings for our terminal. Go down to the bottom, underneath the fi that ends the if statement, and then we're going to put in that line of code, except you're going to put a quotation mark on the end of that, second line there that I forgot to put in, and I'm not going to catch that for, a minute or two here. But you're going to want to do that. I'll have that fixed in the instructions in the description. So we're going to open up our second terminal window, and we're going to go ahead and type in SU for super user. And it's going to elevate our terminal to a super user privileged terminal, which means we can now run root commands. Now the reason we're doing this is because we're also customizing our root terminal, and this is to show you what the difference is. So go ahead and take that piece of code right there, paste it into the terminal. Well, first you want to change directory back to your home directory by using cd ... Then you want to paste the code. That's going to give you an almost identical bashrc, but specifically for super user. Then you want to go ahead and put in that line right there for Figlet and root. Then we go ahead and do the super user command again, enter our password, and all of a sudden it has our display message and root. So that way you're not using a root terminal, not knowing that you're using a root terminal, because if you type in the wrong command as a root user and you type it in wrong, you can seriously mess some stuff up. So here we're going to go back and change our welcome message and add in that quotation mark that we forgot. That I forgot. We're going to open up 2 more terminals after closing that one. And we're going to elevate one as a super user. Just to demonstrate. Then we're going to do sudo apt-get install VLC. That's going to install VLC Player. If you're not familiar with VLC Player, is a very, very versatile media player. And one of my favorite features about VLC Player is it will allow you to stream directly from the internet. It will also allow you to convert videos into MP3 files. So if you happen to have a music video loaded onto your computer, you can convert it into a song. It does lots of other really interesting things though. That also took quite a while. I sped it up for you. So now we're going to install Tilix. Now Tilix is a fun little utility that I like to use because it is an alternative to the terminal. And what it is a multiplexer terminal, or a terminal multiplexer. And essentially you can open up one window and put multiple terminal windows inside that window. So that way you don't have to worry about having 2 terminal windows open. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate how it works for you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and type in Tilix, and we're going to minimize our regular terminal, and we're going to go ahead and reposition and resize our Tilix terminal. And then there's these 2 buttons up the top, and what those do is they give you an additional terminal. Now, I actually prefer to change this to a darker theme because if you spend a decent amount of time doing this, eventually the brighter background is going to end up hurting your eyes. But we're not really going to worry about that today. We'll address that in a different video. Now we're going to go to our command for installing Kali meta packages. So that's our command right there. However, you need where it says name in parentheses, you want to actually put the name of the meta package. Right here is the address that you can find all of the meta packages on. We're going to go ahead and resize this to fit our workspace. And we're going to go ahead and paste that URL in. Scroll down, and there is a full list of all the Kali meta packages. For example, Kali Linux password tools right here. So all you would have to do is take the area that says name and type in the name of the Kali meta package you want. Now, we're not going to do that in this video because it also takes quite some time, and I do want to set this up a certain way, so we'll address that later if you guys are really interested in that. Please let me know in the comments if you are interested in that. Now, we're going to start the process to install Atom Text Editor. Now, Atom Text Editor is a really, really useful utility. It's essentially like the text editor that we're using here, but it's specifically designed for coding. So if you do any sort of coding on it, it will do things like close parentheses for you, or close quotations for you. So this is just going to install the dependencies for it. And it would help if I typed in the right password. Now from here, we're going to go to atom.io, and we're going to download the .deb file. If it'll load. I honestly should have gone to this page before I started the command, because doing both at the same time, and both of those having started for the first time, makes it run a whole lot slower. And it gives you issues with the download. So when you do this, you're going to want to go to atom.io before you press enter on that command. It's going to save you the solid 5 or so, maybe 10 minutes that I spent messing around trying to download the file. Okay, it is not downloading correctly, but the dependencies are installing okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cancel that download and then restart it. And hopefully it'll work correctly. Still not working correctly. So again, you really wanted to start and finish this download before you entered that command, because that's really kind of what screwed up our download. Okay, now we're going to try it again, and this time it's going to work. I think. There we go. Alright, so now we can go ahead and put in our next command, which is sudo dpkg tech-i tilde/download/atom, which is the .deb file that we just downloaded. It was going to take a few minutes. Alright. And because I am a bird brain, I tried opening Atom text editor from the terminal a few times, which is not how that works. It's actually in your app drawer. Or utility drawer? I don't even know what it's called. That doesn't work. That doesn't work again. So now we go to Applications, which is the wrong place. Oh no, we didn't go to Applications. We went to Show Applications. So we go to Show Applications, and A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it's in the first page, because I know my alphabet. Yay! And again, it's going to take a few minutes to start the first time, simply because it's trying to set itself up. It's going to start significantly faster every time after this. It's also going to give you several pop-ups, which are kind of annoying. That will not happen after the first time you open it. If you're really interested in the settings involved in that, go ahead and give it a read. I highly recommend giving it a read because you don't really want to use anything on Kali Linux without really knowing what it is, or at least having some kind of an idea. But for this particular purpose, we're going to skip that. We're going to try and open a project, which is not how that works, because I'm a genius. Because what we're doing now is we're opening our instructions up in Atom. And again, it's not how that works, so we're going to go ahead and cancel that. We're going to go ahead and put it back, and we're going to go to File, and Open File. Now we're going to open up our post-install. Go ahead and close out of these excess windows. Again, for you doing it, I highly recommend reading through that stuff. I've read through it a few times, so I'm not really going to bother with it. By the way, that button works by clicking it, not clicking and dragging it. I'm a genius, and I tried to do it the wrong way. Now we're going to go ahead and install the USB Rubber Ducky Encoder repository from GitHub. Now, we're going to do this for a future segment that we're going to do on working with the USB Rubber Ducky. If you're not familiar with the USB Rubber Ducky, it is a fantastic tool. It's a keyboard or human interface device emulation device. That was a mouthful. It's a human interface emulation device. Essentially anything you could do on a keyboard, it could do in seconds, essentially as fast as the computer can receive the commands. And again, we're going to go ahead and elaborate on this a little bit later. It's just not for this video. It kind of deserves a video of its own. Alright, so from here, if we go ahead and type ls, it's going to show us everything in the directory we're in. And then we're going to see the USB Rubber Ducky encoder file. We're going to go ahead and type cd USB tac rubber ducky, or rubber tac ducky, and that's going to go ahead and take us into the USB Rubber Ducky folder. Type ls again, and it's going to show you what's there. So, if you found that helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. It goes a long way to helping my channel. If you have anything in particular you want to see, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you want to see more of. Let me know what you want to see less of. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one. Hack on. That's not staying. That's not going to be my catchphrase. That was terrible.